about one crazy story about communistic time.
Oh wow! Okay.
You want to hear it?
I wanted to hear it, and I'd love to hear about it. Yeah.
Because everything here is upside down, and everything is difficult except here. I was born in Belgrade. I live in Belgrade. I go to school. I study here. I will die here. They buried me in Belgrade. But still, I'm amazed with some things that they discover. This is my job to show you the city, and then so when, how? A lot of things I just found 6-7 years ago. I didn't know that they exist. But this is a story about one amazing person and kids in school, even the people live here, they don't know nothing about this. And who is guilty? We. Me and everybody who live in the Belgrade, because we didn't build a monument to this great man, Nicola Doxa de Mores, who made all this that you can see. When, after many wars, when he was wounded several times, he couldn't walk. He had a wound in the arm, in the legs, in the bottom, everywhere. But he was a brain. And when he make idea, the first one, of defending the fortress, so fortification architecture is a very special. His brilliant idea in the time was to move strategic points out of the fortress. So they said, wow, what is he talking about? I said, the best defense is before the fortress, because everybody expects fire and defense from the fortress. If we weigh them, if we made a star walls, we can beat them from both sides. Then they sent him to Belgrade, to Serbia. Austrians. He was a Swiss general, but he worked for the Austrians. So he came here and he built 7 houses, exactly the same. One of the houses still exists, and it is in the street of Tsar Dushan Street, number 10. So everybody knows that these seven houses was with underground tunnel. They connected, and they are connected because the street is very near in the Danube side. They connected with the fortress. That everybody who lived there, himself and the others, the high-ranking officers, and the people who came and go, there was a luxury house for those people, and the tunnels they can from the fortress, they go to home and go with the tunnels.
Right.
They just start digging a little bit, but still it's undercover, and we don't know, because most of those things that it was written and everything was a secret. And as a secret vanished, disappeared. Now you need a really lot of money, a really lot of expensive high-tech machinery, X-rays, blah blah blah. You know that, just to find what's really going on. But who knows? Maybe one day we will discover.
Right.
But we know the story. Small gunpowder magazine in the upper town. So you have few details to see how it looks. It looks very similar. Why? Because the gunpowder is dangerous for those who have them. If the shell come, explosion can kill inside the people. That's why it builds here. Let me show you.
So how old is this fortification here?
It is beginning of 18th century.
Okay.
It's more or less 300 years. Look how it is today. It was a gunpowder, and you need, when I told you about the levels, you see how, where we are, it's garbage now. But imagine that I think that the doors are somewhere here. So you must go 3-4 meters just to be on the level when the people come inside the past.
Right.
You see? So if they want to cover, to open this, they must clean all this ground, all these trees, spend a lot of work, a lot of money. One day they will do it. Yes.
Wow, that's huge.
Look, you can see the gate. You see where is the gate?
Oh yeah.
You see the white up
opening.
and down.
Yeah.
So you can see how it was.
So how old would this part be? This little section here? How old
It's
would
about
this?
300 years.
Wow. Okay.
300 years. And you can see still the outer original. That was the windows.
Wow.
And for the circulation of the air.
Right.
You see? how it looks. So the air, it was covered, not the regular windows, because even the soldiers who was here, they don't know how much of the powder and everything they have down. Right. And for sure there was a tunnels who connect the other part of the fortress, because Austrians, especially Dr. de Moraes, he built the tunnels that if one side of the fortress need more soldiers or more gunpowder, that they can easily move it from the central point to the different part of the different corner.
Right, right.
I don't understand how they, you know, how they just build over another building. Like they build on top of a building that was already there before. Maybe it was just one level, but they build a bigger building.
Yeah.
Like, you know, just, and then, you know, another 100 years goes by, they build on top of that building, and then they build on top. The same thing happens in, you know, Plovdiv, Bulgaria. You know,
everywhere in the world, believe me. Everywhere.
Wow.
Sometimes in Vincha you have the basic 9 levels. And when they dig, they find the level when they discovered that they use copper. And so this is Copper Age. It's from Copper Age. And then you have Iron Age, and etc., etc., etc. It's level. They're burning the things, but they cover sometimes. Sometimes it was natural flame who could destroy the things. Of course, they just put ashes there. But slowly, piece by piece, they do it again. Look. This is example how it is. They even don't know that the bacteria, viruses exist. Yeah. Who cares? Right. You don't see it, don't exist.
Right. Yeah. So how many people do you feel died on these grounds? What's your guess? Is it?
Well, you know, I found in literature that they say for this over 2,000 years of history, the Belgrade as a city, not a settlement, the city. The real city.
But this was the city, right? All these walls? This was the original
walls,
city.
And I show you down there, was the real city. This was for the rulers,
okay.
For the Roman emperors, for the kings of different periods, for the sultans and viziers and who knows who visited and go. But it was for the rulers, upper town, the fortress in the fortress. And then is a lower town, downtown.
Okay.
There's 2 cities that make the city of Belgrade in the past.
So that's why they have the despot's gates. That's for the people that aren't worth anything.
Because despot, of course, absolute rule.
Interesting.
And this is the despot. The story about the despot.
So I guess that would be my gate because I'm not an elite anybody. So I'd be that'd be my gate. That'd be fine.
One of my favorite stories.
Oh wow!
Why? Because it's really very unusual and very strange, and I'm somehow, I grew up among the people who was Jewish people, and you know the Jewish people suffer very much, and because the best friend of my mother, this lady was a Jewish, the best colleague of my father was a Jewish, and the Jewish and the Serbs especially was wiped out in the Second World War during the Nazism. That's how I start to have an interest for this culture, for this everything, and then suddenly in some moment I found a story about this. It's a very typical story and one of many amazing stories about this city, because in this city nothing is average, nothing is usual, everything is different and special. Why? Look, this is the despot. It's Serbian seal. It's written Despot Stefan Lazarević, 1377, 1427. The year he was born and then he died. The Serbian ruler and the poet. The man who proclaimed the Belgrade as a capital of Serbia more than 600 years ago. So Belgrade became a capital of Serbia more than 600 years ago. Before that, the capital of Serbia was, do you know where? In Kosovo. No, Kosovo.
Oh, Kosovo, I didn't know that.
Was Roman Empire and then Ottoman Empire. But Kosovo is the cradle of the Serbs. So you probably know for the name Kosovo, but it's not the full name. The name is Kosovo and Metohija.
Never heard
You
of
know
it.
what the meaning of metoch is?
Mm-mm.
Of course, they didn't tell you this in Albania. Metoch, it's a Greek word. It means church property. So if there is a church, if there is a land out of the church, it belongs to the church. So it means Kosovo field and the church property. But because the Turks and Albanians mostly are the Muslims, how the Muslims can be the owner of the church property, of the church land? No way. So what they done? They just cut the name. Okay.
Wow.
So Kosovo is turning point for the Serbs because there was a Kosovo battle between the Ottoman Empire and Serbian kingdom. And this is the only battle that I know in the history when two rulers, the Turkish Sultan Murat and Serbian ruler Lazar, they died in one day in one battle. With the Lazar died 300 Serbian knights in one day, and his wife moved in one of the monastery with 300 widows. So imagine that in one day, the biggest company in the world that you know, name one. Microsoft. Okay, imagine that Microsoft lose all managers in one day. They can easily find the general manager. General manager, it's him. The workers are we, but who will be between? Who will manage the thing? Nobody. So it happens with the Serbs. And there is a mythology that Lazar sacrificed himself together with the Serbian knights for freedom and independence. It's very important, especially for the Christian believers, because the Jesus do the same thing. So here in Serbia, they have the general idea about the moment, because before that there was a strong kings, tsars, emperors, the golden age of Serbian empire. Knowledge, independence of the church, first hospitals, modern hospitals when everybody has different therapy. The first schools, first universities, first books, 800 years ago. And then the Ottoman Turks came, Islamic invasion, Islamization of Europe, and one person go to stop them, and it was Lazar, and he died. So the Serbs, they have, I'm not the Serb, that's why I'm talking openly about the Serbs. I have mixture of four different nations. My family name is a German. Wow. But this is another long story. One grandfather have a German background, another have a Russian.
Oh, wow. So you're mixed.
Belgrade, half of Belgrade, it's like this.
Oh, wow.
And everybody is welcome, that's why everything is okay. Anyway, look, so what happens? From that time, the mythology came to keep the people together, to keep identity. Because the Serbs, they have identity 800 years ago, it's finished with definition. The same language, the same religion, the same territory, the same name, nothing has changed. So when you compare with this with the young nations, what is the young nation in the European Western culture? You know, what's the youngest one? Okay, I tell you, Italians. They exist only 200 years. Garibaldi came, collect them, and make the language, Italian language. Germans, Prussians, Austrians, this and that, so many little kingdoms, 200 years. Americans, 200 years. But this is 800. And then there is a turning point, and then invasion of different culture and different ideas and different approach of the life. It's a different, doesn't matter which is better. There is no better, everything is good if you are good.
Yeah.
And what happens? They say he chose a heaven on the sky, not a heaven on the earth. He was a ruler. He can have a heaven, order everything he wants. Okay, this is end of this story. So, anytime any kind of pressure came for the Serbs, the answer always was no. So what happens in the past? When Vienna, you saw the monument, put the ultimatum for the small kingdom of Serbia. There was 300,000 soldiers, all together, including the old people like me. Austro-Hungarian Empire at the time, they have a 4.5 million under their arms. But the Serbs say no. And the price they paid was amazing. What happens then? Adolf Hitler, he say, I need this territory for my troops.
Yeah.
The Serbs come out to the street and yelling, better grave than a slave. No. So he bombed the city as disaster.
Yeah.
Then Joseph Stalin, from the Soviet era, he do the same thing. What Tito, who was a leader, I will show you the underground of that time. That's why I mentioned this. He make a pressure from Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria. He will send the boat, military ships, battleships, and he will bomb the city. And Tito say no, because he was in Belgrade. Because Serbs, they say no to Joseph Stalin. And then another funny guy, that's all I can say, Tony Blair and Billy Clinton, they also put the ultimatum with a funny excuse. And what the Serbs say? No. And they came and they bombed the city. I was here, they bombed me. 3 months, 24 hours, every day. And they kill about 4,000 civilians.
Yeah.
And they said this is collateral. Anyway, so in my story, you have one person who is out of everything. The young Jewish boy, 10 years old, the Nazi Germans came and collect all Jewish family. They send them the other side of the river in extermination and concentration camp. The mother put the boy in one shoemaker shop. Cover him under the shoes. They put him, they killed him, he survived. And after a while, they make the fake documents and give him a Serbian name and family name. Nebojša. It means the one who not afraid of anything. Ne bojati se, it's not afraid.
Yeah.
And he took the family name of the family who saved him, Mitric. Okay, nothing special. Even today, we don't know the real name of this boy. He became a very famous sculptor. And one day, he wanted to give the statue of the son of the despot. He was the despot, the son of the Lazar. That's why his family name is Lazarevich, Djokovic.
Nice.
Each, it means the son of, the younger one. It's diminutive. So his son, father died in the battle in Kosovo. His son moved capital from Kosovo after the battle here in Belgrade in the north, because the other side of the Danube was Hungarians, another strong European Christian country, to defend the Europe from invasion.
Yeah.
And he deserved to have the monument in the city he built. Right? So he made it, and then the comrades from the Communistic Party, they came and said, oh, you glorify Christianity. He said, how comes? He said, you put the cross here, you put the cross there, you cannot do it. It's not a proper in an atheistic country with a communistic, blah, blah, blah. What you cannot see in this statue. Did you ever see the statue like this? No. Do he have a face? No. Do he have a leg? No. You don't see that. Do you have a hands?
Yes. No arms. No arms now.
No arms. It's cutted. What is this in his hands?
Coffin.
No, it's a church.
Okay.
It's a church. It's look, because if you see the frescoes in the monasteries, it is look like a coffin because it's a 3 dimension. But if it is in 2 dimension, you will see that this is the church. It's typical Serbian church instead. But there is no cross. He was a Christian, of course. This is the church he built, Manasya. It's 150 kilometers from Belgrade. He have a crown. The all rulers, Christian rulers, they have a cross in the crown. This one don't have. So you don't see something is really Not normal. Nebojša in one more said, all right, you want to make the Christian ruler without the cross, you want a church without the cross, something that don't exist, all right, I will give you this one. And he made this statue. And then they come to see in Atelier, and they said, wow, this is nothing. No way that you can put this here. So what he done? One night, the day before the delegation came, journalists, the people with cameras, everybody came here. A close friend of him who worked in this parking service that they have, you know, those, I don't know, grabbing things that move the cars. They bring the statue over the night. They bring it, they come it, and they put it here. So when in the morning, when they came and they saw this, they said, what is this? What is this? They couldn't move it because already people like you, they already film it. They already make it. It's forever.
Yeah.
So then they said, there is no permission to be put it here.
Yeah.
It happens exactly 1981, 40 years ago. 40 years ago it happens here. And he said, this is my gift to the city. And there was a huge pressure of him, but nobody have a courage to say, move it out, because they know this is the gift. He was a famous sculptor. No permission, and this is the only thing in the Belgrade that still is here 40 years without any permission to be there. This is one of mad stories about this city. And the end is very tragic, because in the end there is a church of Saint Sava. I don't know, did you visit it? You must go and visit it. There was a big cross. This is the biggest cross ever put in any church in the world. It's 12 meters high, covered with the gold, made by him.
Oh, wow.
And this was the end of his life, because 20 days after the cross was put on Dome, and Dome was built, and this is the only church in the world built upside down. It's here in Belgrade.
Oh wow. Upside down church.
And what happens? They elevate. Why it's upside down? Because, you know, when you build something, you build foundations.
Yeah.
Then the wall, then the roof. But this church was not built like this. The foundations, they start to build in 1935. 6 years later, the Germans bombed the city. They just covered with the sand. From 45 till 85, 40 years, every year church asked 2 times permission to finish the church. The members of Communistic Party, the government, they never answered. They never say no, but they're clever. They didn't give the permission. In 85, Tito died in 85, the new generation of politicians came to be recognized from the people. They said, you have permission to finish. And the people give the money, donation, finish the church, and put the dome, because they make 4,000 tons heavy dome inside. Foundations, roof, then the walls, then they elevate like a mushroom, 1 meter, 20 centimeters to 2 meters every day, and they put it exactly 600 years after the battle in Kosovo. So make the connection. Nothing for the Serbs. Nothing is changed. 600 years. In that time, 600 years ago, Albanians didn't exist. There was no Albanian nation. And this is another part of history. So much about the Kosovo. And for the end, the question for you: do you know where is the most important and the largest American military base in Europe?
It's Kosovo. In Kosovo. Now.
That explains everything. All other is just balloons, stories.
Yeah.
And your story.
Yeah, here's a place I didn't go last time. Is that the underground well?
Yes. It's the entrance. One of the many entrances of one of the many buildings that was there. So you see how the garbage, the weed, the stones, the people.
Oh, look at that, you guys. I'd love to go down that.
Years, if we don't dig it and cover this, will be, nobody will know.
Check it out too. So is this the Roman well, or is this close by?
No, we are going now.
Ah, okay, cool.
There is many underground stories, like a movie underground. Like, this is the underground story about this sculpture.
Okay.
And even today, nobody knows his real name.
Huh. Has anybody been down there in this tunnel?
Here, I don't know. I don't believe. I don't know what they have.
Okay.
There is so many, a few kilometers of underground.
Oh, wow.
Don't
I believe it.
For this, you really need a lot of time and money.
Right.
This was a
Oh, yeah.
building like probably 500 years old or something.
About 300. This is
300
from
also,
time
okay.
of Doxa de Mores.
The same time as the one over there.
Yeah. And see, something that was the biggest holiday and most important thing for the Europe for 70 years. Today, what is this? Nothing, just a piece of stone. That's how history passed. The Roman emperors who made a bridge over the Danube, they stopped the Danube 2,000 years ago. Not two, little less. Can you imagine this? The Trojan, the famous emperor, to conquer the Romania today, Dacia or Dacia. Hey, they stopped the... Today it's difficult to stop the Danube. Can you imagine? This is huge, strong, the most important European river. So what happens? In 22nd July, 1456, you have inscription in Hungarian language and in Serbian Cyrillic. There was a Hungarian leader who led the defenders of the Belgrade, János Hunyadi. They have a great victory against the second siege of Ottomans. They tried the first time, nothing. They tried the second time, nothing. This battle was so heavy in the summer, few months, and after defend, they left. And from that time, the mascot of the Belgrade is a small bird. It's a sparrow. You know why? Because the story came to describe how heavy battle was, one of many. The average people like I am, they just said, we found a sparrow with 3 arrows. It's a very small bird. It's not possible to do, but to describe how heavy it was, they do it. And what happens with János Hunyadi, the winner, the great hero of the European hero at that time? He crossed the Danube, he go to the other hill area, the city of Zemun. You see, this is Millennium Tower there. I believe you visit Millennium Tower in the Zemun. So he go there, and what happens with him? 2 weeks after the greatest victory in Europe in medieval time, he died of the plague, together with the half of defenders. Because there was nobody to cover the bodies of the people who died. And why noon bells? Because János Hunyadi was here. The group of Serbians came from the fortress of Smederevo, from the last Serbian dynasty Branković. The Pope from Rome, he sent the order to all churches, alone priests all over the Europe, in the noon exactly to ring the bells and pray for defenders of the Belgrade. But from that time, since 22nd July 1456, the summer 1456, nobody, no any other pope took the order back. So people still do it. Nobody knows why they do it, but they do it because they do it for centuries. This is another amazing story of this crazy city. It is not the underground, it's a spiritual underground, because the great hero, the great victory, the great success, the biggest holiday 70 years in Europe, plague, 2 weeks, end of everybody. He was in Turkey, so this is the grave of one Turkish Pasha, Damad Ali.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay, so
And
that's the grave.
His body now is in Istanbul. But he was buried here because in one of the many battles with the Austrians, he was wounded in the Novi Sad. This is the other huge fortress made by Austrians it was Christian side of the world. And on the way to Belgrade, he died. And when he died, they make the grave, and inscription is in Turkish and in Arabic and modern Turkish language, supported by Turkish government, of course. But they moved the body. But here, we keep all of this, including the mosque, including, I show you in the beginning when two princes are coming, they put it, they said, the only way, the best way, tolerance.
Right, live together, right.
They live together, so.
I mean, yeah. That's the only way that life can exist. You can't like force everybody to believe what you want to believe, because if it were to work, these countries would have been united thousands of years ago, but it just can never work. So
the best example is these Egyptian tribes who came after all of this, and they make the magnificent 3,000 years of culture.
Right,
okay.
Right.
So what this hilly area here is?
Defensive position.
The underground, Tito's underground, when he's saying no.
Oh, no kidding. Here. Wow. Okay. Interesting. I wondered why that was so high right there. I was trying to figure that out because I stood on there for a concert and I thought, this is kind of unusual. This is such a high ground compared to anything else.
It is opened about 10 years ago. Before that, nobody knows what is it.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know.
Okay.
I'm a professional tour guide.
Wow.
I studied this, I work here. I didn't know because everything was covered.
Ah, wow.
Okay, this is the entrance. It's closed now. You see it? It's a concrete. It's the entrance. So when you come inside, you can find some photos in the internet. What happens? It's a 20th century. The love between the absolute rulers is very shocked because everybody wants to be absolute ruler. There cannot be two of them. That's why Hitler and Stalin didn't like each other. First they signed all agreements and then they destroyed each other. Anyway, Tito was the part of, he was a communist and he participated in revolution. It's a long story about him, but anyway, when the Russians, the Soviets actually, not the Russians, I'm sorry, Soviets, when the Soviets want to make the Yugoslavia part of Warsaw Pact, like Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, blah, 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 others, Tito say no. I told you, when you push these people too much, they always say no. It's irrational, it's stupid, it's dangerous, but they do it. They don't know why they do it, but they're emotional, not rational. Right, this is it. Because of the mythology, because of the story 600 years ago, because they wait, they make commitment. One day in this place, we will make the church dedicated to Father of the Nation. And they make it exactly 600 years after the battle in Kosovo. Kosovo is turning point. It's so important for the spiritual life of the Serbs. No Kosovo, no identity. That's how they feel. When you speak with them, there was very close friends of mine. They start yelling, "Why you think? Come on, easy, let's talk." Oh, wait to talk. Anyway, there are tunnels, the bunkers. And also I show you another bunker for the tunnel. Everything is connected. There was a tank with the water, the bed for the soldier, that they come inside and close themselves for I don't know how long, week or two, because they was ready to defend the fortress. So when military people start talking about this is stupid, because if they come with the rivers, they will not cross inside where are the bunkers at. They will find a way, some other gate. And then 6-7 years ago, we have military instructions who show us this. There was a question, why they do it? They spend a lot of money, they do this. He said the only idea was everything must be perfect, everything must be original. But the only idea is that the spies know what we are doing. Usually you try that the spies don't know what they are doing. Why you are trying that they know? Because they must know, the Soviets, that we are really ready to fight. And of course, another thing that the spies know, it's something that was very open. United States of America said, we will support them. And they say the supersonic jets, like a Sabres or something. So if you see the museum of the airplanes museum, you will find these ideas. So the world is crazy, always was, and I hope will not be. First, second, and the Third World War. When I said the Third World War, you know that the NATO accused the Serbia like they do the Hitler, like the Vienna do, like everybody do. Who is guilty? Belgrade. Okay, so they attack Belgrade, they bomb Belgrade after 5 or 6 days, I'm not sure. You know they have these stealth bombers.
Yeah.
One first, and the only one who was shot down in the beginning of the bombing of Belgrade by this rocket.
Wow.
It's a Russian system. This one now is a piece of museum and the history. After that, NATO put the planes in 10, 12,000 meters, and of course they start bombing everything, including hospitals, including international railways, including children playground, marketplaces, etc., etc. But this is another story, because probably you don't know nothing about this, because you have information that you have, and if they have, there is a freedom of the press. It's not true. It don't exist anywhere in the world. Always there is filtration. This is it. About this we can discuss later. Let's go underground. It was a part of that comes from Czech Republic. In Czech Republic they have the Museum of Torturing, and also they have some original parts, and also they make the many copies because they can send this kind of exhibition all over the world. The general idea is not to make people to be afraid, just to say, don't forget how cruel the people was in the past. Don't be. That's the idea. Because I hear some accusation that this is, you know, it's not nice or whatever. It's like many other things. So if you don't feel that you can see something, don't look. It's a very simple. But here we are just to see how, of course, during the Second World War, the Nazi Germans, they keep those motorcycles, the weapons, the special gates which they were closed, and many other things that was to be protected and not to be even for the average soldiers out of their eyes. We don't know what's going on because the war, the occupation was 4 years. But what happens after the liberation of Belgrade? For a very long period of time, nobody came in the underground of Belgrade. They are afraid of the bombs because when they left the bombs and explosives everywhere. So if you open the door, wow, they killed the soldiers, they killed the people who came, and always there was a warning. And then in Belgrade, there was one special unit from Red Army, because with the partisans, Yugoslavian partisans, and then the Red Army also came in this huge wave of liberation in Eastern Europe. They came in Belgrade, and they have a special units who came everywhere in underground, including the tunnels for the wasted water, everywhere. And when they come, when they clean something from the mines, they paint "Min Niet," which is meaning no bombs, no mines. So also there is a movie made about this heroic against, because a lot of them they died. Part of this was also this underground in Belgrade Fortress. And then when they open and when they come, so they find so many old motorbikes of the Germans, many cars, many things. Wow. Of course, all of these things are now the part of military museum or many other museums. Just to understand when we are also here, but everything that you see all around was built about 300 years ago, when this Eugene of Savoia, Eugen Savoyski, as we say, he liberated Belgrade in 1717. Then they start reconstruction. Then they have one excellent, brilliant architect for defensive system, Nicolas Doxat de Moraes. He was a Swiss general. So one Swiss man, which is amazing. One Swiss man made the fortress that you can see today. This is it. And he finished tragically in Belgrade. He was killed in Belgrade. But he was the one who made a lot of tunnels, and then I will tell you another story. Now we can go down, see the few things.
Hey, Vern.